Oh, episode 2.
Episode 2, Assorted Sweets, right
Yeah.
at your ears, eyes, and hearts, and minds too, guys. So
Yeah, been
check it
waiting for
out.
this.
It's cool, guys. Just want to say, for me personally, I'm sure you feel the same way, my G. Like, I think after episode 1, as soon as we recorded it, we felt for vibes, and I hope that you guys feel the vibes too, because we're super proud of just 15 years having these convos and just now doing something with it. And I think it's a cool sign of the times, right? Trying to make the most of the time we have. What would you say in that? What's your kind of one-line sentence in terms of time, mate?
Might not be one line, but I think for us, this is a way that we can document, the conversations that we have, because these literally are the conversations we have. And to be honest, at the very least, we quite enjoy just watching them back ourselves. So like if one of you enjoy watching them, that's dope to us and that's cool. But yeah, this is just an organic conversation about, about rap, hip hop, life, and just, sometimes we might go a bit off topic, but that's just the way it is.
Exactly. And I mean, what you've, bringing it back to just your mantra, bro, like time's a precious commodity, you know what I mean? And I think that's just, we always struggle over the last 15 years to connect, but when we do, we have some amazing combos. And
Most definitely.
It helps us deal with what's going on in our individual lives, but just to be able to connect on this level, and for you guys to see the progression. Just keep giving us feedback, because that's what we love to hear. If we're to kind of continue doing this to the level that we plan on doing. So,
it's just our perspective. We might not always get the facts right, but yeah, it's just our thoughts on how we feel about the culture.
And we love it, and it's cool to be finally being able to just share those sort of perceptions and perspectives with you guys, and hopefully tell you something that you didn't actually know about an artist that you liked. So definitely episode 1, we went into a cool segue of different topics, but we definitely brought it back to one central album, and it was all basically us. That was the best way to kind of get to know us, really, because that really highlighted our whole journey of how we came up together and our influences and what we take out of a culture that we love. So definitely, if you haven't heard, check out episode 1, check it out, because there's a few little gems in there, and our perception and our thoughts on the game's debut documentary. So check that out, man.
Yeah, that was the genesis of our relationship, basically, as friends. That episode, to be honest, perfectly summed up, where it all started for us both. So, check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, how first off, bro, episode 2, how are you going since the last time that we had a little link up? What's new with you?
Yeah, man, all good. Just I'm still working on that Time as a Precious Commodity series. I think just during lockdown, it's keeping me busy, keeping me creative. I'm just a lot more focused these days on, actually producing product and output. It can be too easy just to fucking record a whole lot of tracks and have them on your computer. But, put it out there. Someone might enjoy it. You might get some feedback, which is always good, because feedback's always going to make you better at what you do. Hate it or love it, take it with a grain of salt. And just strive to be better. No pun intended.
Kind of a nice, nice parallel to episode 1 in terms of that standout hate it or love it track. But it's just showing, building that repetition. And if you repeat something on a regular basis and you're committed to it, and you're not, one thing that I've been kind of listening to a lot last week, since the last episode, and we talked about it briefly on episode 1, was P Money's Magic City, and that conversation really spawned me getting back into it, and it's just riddled and laced with that mentality, right? Of just that, making the most of the time, and you've got your own goal and it's your goal, and no one can take that away from you. But sometimes that feedback, it's good to get all sorts of feedback, right? So if you get good feedback and negative feedback, if you just get negative, then it can be a bit, if you just get the good, then there's no balance in terms of seeing, okay, someone's other point of view. Like we talked about, right? About people that might watch this, they might just like us as individuals, but they have no idea, maybe no idea about hip hop.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and
it's it's getting that perception, you know?
I've been reading a couple of books lately, the 1% Rule and Atomic Habits. And, the key thing that you can take out of that is it's all about loving the process and being in love with the practice rather than the final output. So for us, like, fuck, we love the podcast. Like, we love this conversation. We're not doing it for the final product to like have millions and millions of fans. You know what I mean? We fucking just love doing this. And it's like with my rap too, I love writing raps. I love listening to beats more so than I don't really care like how many people like it outside of that. So, if you go into anything in life with that intention and you're in love with the process and practice, whether it's in your work or exercise or music, I think you're going to win ultimately. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And just the amount of satisfaction you get from that process and output, right? Like, we talked about it at the beginning of this EP. So, just
a lot of people probably fuck up because they think, oh, podcasts are hot at the moment. I want to do it. I want to jump into it. I want to be famous or whatever, but they don't actually enjoy doing the podcast. So you're going to fail. Like,
yeah, exactly. And you kind of you're stepping in with the wrong attitude, right? And, we're just, we've always had these intentions, and it's cool continuation of our own bro consultant relationship and how it's evolved over the years. And
so I've got to ask you, what are your favorite podcasts? Like, what's inspired you? What do you listen to?
So my favorite podcasts, I mean, I wouldn't. It's hard. Like it's hard. It's like saying what's your favorite album, and then you mention a mixtape. Like a mixtape is an album to me, and podcast is a term. It's kind of just audio talking, right? So I get a lot of inspiration or a lot of value out of, some of the same stuff that we share, like your Hot 97s or your breakfast clubs, or a lot of interviews that people, and media personalities have with artists, because that's my job and my 9 to 5. So, and definitely something I want to strive to be able to have that relationship with local artists and build that rapport and asking the questions that people haven't asked before. So understanding that, and it helps me interchangeably with my 9 to 5. So being able to think outside the box and ask something differently.
Yeah.
So I love that. So whether it's Hot 97, Ebro in the morning, and just any of Ebro's stuff, because I respect him so much as a legend in the game, and he's super respected. Even Peter Rosenberg on Hot 97, a lot of his real late ones, I go back to a lot of interviews because there are a lot of cool moments, a lot of cool conversations. And sometimes, like albums, it takes you probably about 5 listens of an interview to kind of really uncover the truth. Like a book, you might read it over the first time, but when you read it over again and again, or a movie, you pick up new things.
Yeah.
But the Joe Budden podcast, for me in recent time, huge, because someone who's been able to transition from being known as a rapper and then transition into a different career field, something that I get inspiration from, and how he's navigating that space. But in recent times, the most value that I've had is from our New Zealand legend and idol, my personal idol, and mentor from afar, regardless if he knows it or not, is Robert Hollis. So Robert Hollis is a ex-professional snowboarder in New Zealand at the time when the snowboarders that he was, in the scene with was starting to plateau. He always entrepreneurial spirit, and he decided to get out and start his own business and kind of exit entrepreneurship. So really creating things and then moving on to the next and starting things up. And he's a Fortune 100 content creator. So he's got a wealth of knowledge, and it's really cool because he dresses like what we are. And he's having corporate conversations with CEOs, and he's really breaking down the existing sort of walls for people to have conversations like we are, but in a corporate sense, because it's something I truly believe in terms of how I work. You pay for, you hire and you pay my salary for my mind or me, my personality, not necessarily how I dress. Because if you go by first glance and first perception, then that's just, some people might even just like with anything, right? Like,
that's funny to me, because like sometimes when I'll go into my work casually, like not in my uniform, people are like, holy shit, I didn't recognize you. Like, and it's funny because I think sometimes people, they only perceive you in one way, which they see you in your kind of work way. But like the whole Ryan is so much bigger than just the fucking work piece. I work to live. But it's funny how people form judgments just on what they see, because there's so much more to us. So yeah.
Totally. And the podcast question right back at you, man. Like, what are your favorite podcasts, or the ones that you go to on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I kind of have a little bit of like a rotation on what I listen to, and I'll listen to different things depending on what I want to go for. So if I want to go Drink Champs, it's generally because it's like they have all the legends on there, and there's pretty cool like old school conversations. Just recently, I'm quite into the Ben Baller podcast, because he has just like the most out of it intimate details of hip hop. It's just mind blowing. Like the amount of things he's done in his career, from like DJing at a club where Denzel Washington used to go, and Denzel Washington loved NWA and Dre, and like, he's got these crazy stories. So I love listening to that. And he was an A&R at Aftermath, and the stories he's got from that are dope. Like he rejected signing Jay-Z, and it's just crazy stories, man. Like I won't spoil it, but I recommend his podcast. There's this one called Gangster Chronicles I listen to, which is some cool stories in there about like the death row days. Because they both, I think one of them was a felon, and one of them was a police officer who worked at death row in his off duty time. So that's a really good one too. But sometimes I'll listen to like Joe Rogan if I just want to hear about other topics like exercise and things like that. Or sometimes I listen to like crime podcasts. Like I'm real into like true crime stories. So I do listen to those as well.
It's the same with us. Like, it's what Melissa Matthews loves watching. Like, she is a fanatic for documentaries, and it could be any topic. It could be, Viceland, right?
Yeah, I love Viceland. Yeah.
There's Viceland, but then you can create your own Viceland style on YouTube. And she goes into a lot of, sometimes I'm like, what are you watching? Like, it's some pretty effed up sort of stuff. However, it gives you a greater sense of what's going on in the world, as opposed to just our bubble. And probably, hopefully, even just in the last 10 minutes, people have actually realized that it isn't just hip hop for us.
I think for me, bro, like hip hop was a vehicle for me to understand that I wanted to expand my mind and I wanted to learn more. Like before I started writing, before I started rapping, I didn't read shit. Now I read all the time. Now I like want to watch podcasts, want to watch different movies. Like the more shit we can learn, the better we are. And that's in our jobs, just as people. And for me in my music too. Like knowledge is literally power, as cliche as it sounds.
Totally. And do you find, like, what's your preferred, I mean, it varies, right? Like, what's your preferred way of getting information? Like, is it, from my experience, I love audio, because I can be doing something else and I'll be listening to it. But I don't believe it or not, but I'm subconsciously learning all this stuff in a certain part of my brain while I'm maybe doing the gardening, or I don't know, doing something else. But then that's my way of learning, and everyone's different, right? I'm not the biggest reader. Like, I'll get a book and I have an idea of what the book's about, more as sort of a kind of a thesis sort of book, or a book about a particular topic, not a storybook, but we have to kind of go front to back, but a book where it's about like personality types or ways of thinking, and you kind of gravitate. You go to the contents page, and I usually just gravitate to a particular thing that stands out to me when I read about it, and then I take that nugget, and then I'll maybe pick up the book in 6 months' time and go back. But how do
my preference for reading is I'm probably a little one-dimensional at times, but like I love biographies. Mostly hip hop, but not always. Like I love the David Goggins biography. I read that recently. I also enjoy self-help books heaps. I'm just fascinated by the way the brain works and how we can optimize our performance. I love self-help books. I do read the odd thriller crime novel, but not heaps. But those are probably my genres most of the time. And I'm not reading all the time, but I always make sure that I'm reading a book at all times. So like I'm always in the middle of a book. I might take a while to finish it. Sometimes I'll finish it quick, but like I've always got something that I'm in the middle of reading. But I do prefer audio probably because like you say, like I'll fucking mow the lawns, put the buds in and just listen. On the way to work, I'll put it on or whatever. And like you say, it's just in your subconscious sometimes, you're not listening, but you are listening.
Have you given audio books a whack? Or try?
I was funny you say that. I was investigating it this week. I was like, I might start downloading some of them. Just go for a run, put on an audio book or whatever.
And I think the first, and it's the only real audio book that I've actually listened to. Was in off the back, and I think you've read it before. Autobiography senses, Prodigy's autobiography.
Oh yeah, I got that.
So I can't remember. I've just for the peeps to see if I can kind of bring it up. I mean,
it's his voice,
Yeah, and that was just I was blown away. Let me see if I can find it while you get the actual. Have you actually got the physical?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So what is it called again, mate? My life.
My infamous life.
My infamous life, yeah. And that again is, there's biographies and there's autobiographies, right? And
I love that book because it was like written in the way that Prodigy would talk. Like it was authentic. Yeah.
So cool. he wrote it for years.
Yeah.
Like
he wrote a bit of it in prison,
Well, he wrote it from when he was like in the actual infamous all the way through. Like he documented everything.
Makes sense.
Because I remember after he passed away, watching a 50 Cent interview, and how Prodigy, like how intellectual he was. Like it's kind of definitely in that camp of New York MCs like the Nas, who are super. The observers, and then they suck in information and they're like sponges, and he would just everything down continuously.
It's funny in that book because early Prodigy, apparently Nas didn't like respect that all as an MC. Like he used to think Prodigy was quite whack, and then all of a sudden like Prodigy really stepped it up.
But I just
dope stories in there, and there's like stories of like Noriega and shit, like having shootouts with Prodigy. Oh, it's dope, man.
It's crazy. Like going back to this album though, and guys, if you haven't actually listened to this album, the infamous Mobb Deep, this is actually Mobb Deep's second album. After I can't remember what their first album was, but it was their main commercial debut. But this is classic, and then it got re-released in I think 2008, I believe, and it was it got, I wouldn't say re-released, but there was a kind of a sequel to it. But then the second disc was just a lot of the B-side cuts from this album. And the album there, like it had Eye for an Eye, and originally had Nas and Raekwon on it, the chef, but then it had Ghostface on the kind of the original cut. So it's so many different dimensions, right? It's again, won't distract.
with an album like that, you really got to like digest it and feel it and live with it and listen to it, and man, it gets better the more you listen to it. Like literally, it's like a fine wine. It just gets better with time. It's like it's such a dark, grimy vibe, but the whole album is a vibe, and that's an album, not just a single.
Exactly, and I think like it's kind of what we were talking about last episode we were talking about, do we still listen to CDs? And you know, we still flick on CDs, but the journey's a bit different now than when we grew up for a lot of people, because it's so accessible now. Whereas we would actually listen to an album for like weeks before we bought the new album, a new album sort of thing. So we'll be full on. We wouldn't be instant reviewing it. We'll be soaking it up and discovering all these little nuances that made us love the album even more. But like books, right? Like you probably like, are there certain books or certain interviews or podcasts that you go back to, or you reread, or you rewatch, or do you kind of just watch it once or listen to it once?
Yeah,
And then
I'm probably more of a oncer, to be honest. I mean, there's things that I plan to watch again, but I think just so much content comes at us these days. It can be hard to do that. Like we said last time, I'm meaning to reread Decoded. Just because like when I read that last, like I've learned a whole lot more since then. So it'd just be interesting with a new perspective to read it.
Exactly. And I think that's probably another. And guys, if you haven't seen Decoded, this is it as well. I feel like I'm Nardwuar with the props. And if you haven't seen Nardwuar, that's another amazing channel of information as well, just in terms of how he delves deep. But this is an amazing book. Won't go into a huge amount of detail. You can do the research yourself, but classic.
It's funny, Nardwuar is dope, but I haven't watched him in ages. I think like there was a particular time in my life when I listened to him lots. I got everything that I needed from it, and I've just I'm building on that knowledge now with what's new now.
I think it's the era as well, right?
It's like an era thing.
Artists that he's looking at are kind of not necessarily, but artists that we love.
That's true.
Or what we connect with a lot. There'll be a few little gems, but
I remember like Pharrell, Nas, they had like really dope ones on there. Yeah,
the Pharrell one was like he was just losing his mind, and then he's like Pharrell signed him.
Did he?
Yeah, Pharrell signed him to his kind of it's a kind of label of artists. I can't remember what it's called, like whatever Pharrell's label is. I'm sure we'll go into.
What I love about Pharrell so much is like how he gets so excited about like his favorite artists and the culture itself, and like giving props. Like, you know, people of that level are not always like that, but he'll be like, that Tribe Called Quest song meant the world to me. Like, I don't know, it's just so dope to hear that, for them not to just be humble and admit, you know, what influenced them.
Yeah, and I think it's showing another side. I think that's the good thing about Nardwuar. And I like, if you have a good interviewer and someone who's respected, there's a difference in terms of, say, Adam 22 asking Ghostface Killer some questions versus an Ebro potentially.
Yeah.
Or a Charlemagne, because of the level of rapport that they already have.
Yeah.
Or the level of respect that they already have prior to a combo.
They'll let their guard down a little bit more if the artist knows them better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think of that, like when it comes to, and you know, excuse my confusion, autobiographies are ones that you've written or someone else has written on behalf of you, or is it biographies? I'm trying to get.
I think auto might be yourself.
So if auto is yourself, but biographies are someone else, that makes sense. So like two people. A good biography should always be, if you research whoever wrote it and research the relationship they actually had with that particular person, then if they have a stellar relationship and known them for so many years, the person that they're actually talking about will actually be able to let their guard down enough to release uncut gems, rather than someone who has no idea who they are and asking silly questions, or not facilitating the environment for people to let their guard down. So.
Well, I'm so happy about Nori having Drink Champs is before he had Drink Champs, whenever he would be on Hot 97 and they interviewed him, or even The Breakfast Club, like watch those interviews. He was always like one of the most dope people to be interviewed, because he would reveal like so much information, and he just had a good like personality on the mic. Yeah, he's just made for it, eh?
And I think that that's it's amazing to see, like, definitely in hip hop culture, a lot of artists, and it's probably another form of, I wouldn't say, I draw a lot of entertainment or viewership from different artists who have podcasts now, whether it's Noriega with Drink Champs, or Joe Budden's podcast, or his pull-up series, or Talib Kweli's People's Party,
People's Party, forgot that,
or Crooked Eyes, or King Crooked's Crook's Corner, or there's so many artists doing it. But I think that's amazing to see, because they're able to ask questions, particularly from that experience, because they know what it's like. And then an artist will be able to give them an answer that's, but like, well, you know what it's like, what yada yada. And that's quite cool, just to, because if you're watching the same style of interview or podcast, it can be a bit, it's getting the same information, but different, no structure in a way. Like, you're still getting the same nuggets, but it's not getting anything new. So I find it quite interesting.
Yeah, you get different stuff out of each one. Like, I find Crook's Corner is like super geeky, but it appeals to like somebody like me who actually writes, because like he'll talk about some of that stuff sometimes. I can understand it probably wouldn't appeal to like a huge audience, but like it's quite like niche, and like if that's what you're interested in, it's quite cool. And there was some cool subject, like some cool topics. Like I think he had a discussion about why Tupac is a lyricist, because some people don't consider him to be a lyricist. So that was a cool topic. And they're not too long either, some of them are quite short, but to the point. So yeah, different formats, but giving their message,
Hard out. Man, do you know what would be real cool? Like, I mean, there's not many of them in New Zealand, really. Like, I could be playing the unknowledgeable card, but I don't see many people doing what we're doing. But I would love to be able to go over to the States, and a lot of these podcasts, they do like live shows where it's interactive, or even just being able to go to a lot of these places that we know are so iconic, like being able to walk down the same street as Hot 97, or go into like LA, and going to like places like, trying to find Aftermath or whatever, like those places where they're like I don't know, it would probably open our eyes up even more so to actually, because you haven't been to the States before, eh?
No. I was thinking about this earlier, like what would be dope is, like I know a lot of people like have like the generic States tour, like where they'll go see Disneyland and they'll go see Hollywood Boulevard or whatever. But what we would want to do is like craft our own like hip hop enthusiast based trip of like places that we want to visit. Like that would be dope. So like if you were if you were, what are some like key places and things you would want to see, like if you could plan a trip?
I've always wanted to do a coast to coast kind of trip. I've always wanted to go to America because it's fascinated me. But definitely the Big Apple, like beyond hip hop as well, just being able to be in the, what's dubbed the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
Being from someone from Dunedin, like I even got a shock from moving from Dunedin to Auckland.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went over to Sydney, I was just like, oh. So if I go to New York, I'm just going to be completely flabbergasted. But definitely New York. There's a lot of, I love street art. Hence why I've got a lot of art around here, and there's so many murals of some amazing artists. The biggie ones. There's so much culture in New York, right? And different side streets. Going to a lot of the kind of like bodegas that are mentioned in a lot of rap records.
Yeah.
And like Brooklyn and Queens, like going to some of those boroughs because there's a lot of beauty there. Despite the fact that a lot of the content that we listen to comes from that perspective of a lot of heartbreak and disarray. But we know that there's a lot of beauty in there. So definitely New York, followed by I naturally, from my preference, like goes to LA, like LA and like the Bay Area, San Francisco, around that area, because for me, a lot of my core hip hop knowledge base came from Dala Funka Homo Sapien, E40, Hieroglyphics Bay Area. And that kind of nicely transitions early 90s into the West Coast that we know and love. And,
Yeah.
you know, the looking at like a lot of murals that they have around these cities. Like I think even looking at the Five Dog one, at some point that would be amazing, just to be able to get a photo outside of it and just saying, hey, I was here, like I can feel the energy. Or the Nipsey one, and then ATL for me. I remember my first fitter was an ATL cap, just because I love those movies, like Stomp the Yard and like ATL movie with T.I. So I got an affinity to that music because I was listening to T.I. a lot, and like King of the South, and then nicely transitions into New Orleans and real down south like Memphis, and the chopped up slow down music and the low riders, and just seeing those cars, man. It's hard. I just want to embrace it all, but definitely do it from a lens and a journey of hip hop. Because I think you would naturally capture everything else in the essence of the city. You capture so much more if we try and take off all the things that we've learned in our records. But what about you, bro?
For me, like my fascination has always been with New York. So outside of hip hop, like I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. Of like, you talk about rewatching things, I've probably seen every episode about 10 times, no shit. So like it's based in New York, although it's not filmed in New York, but like just that whole New York vibe of like, you know, your takeaway Chinese, you know, and the oyster pails and the, you know, the pizza, New York pizza, and just like going to a major league baseball game or like basketball, all that sort of shit, you know, like that definitely influenced me. And then, you know, hip hop came along. And obviously it's the mecca, the birthplace of hip hop. So I think visiting, you know, all those murals of like, you know, Big Pun, Big Al, rah, 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 that would be dope. And then also visiting like some cool sneaker stores, record shops, all that shit.
Of course, without question. I didn't even mention that.
And then, LA, for similar reasons to you. In recent years, Atlanta, because Atlanta is actually just such a huge hub and so influential in music, period, and Black culture, period. So I think, you know, Atlanta would be so dope to visit. And then down south, some of those southern states, because they're pretty rich in history, would be really cool to visit. Just to do the knowledge and visit some of those, you know, important places in history. Man. So one day.
Cool. I mean, definitely in recent times, like I've always had an urge to go to Canada, not necessarily from a hip hop standpoint, even though Toronto is the coolest thing now. 10 years ago, if you said Toronto, people were only associated with the Raptors, but I mean, the Raptors weren't like the thing as they were last year when they won the championship. But you know, with Drake and The Weeknd and that whole scene of the all-stars of music coming from Toronto, and the similarities that I hear and see through photos of Auckland or Sydney, you know, I kind of associate Auckland as a smaller version of Sydney, and then Sydney a smaller version of sort of a Toronto in a way, or they're kind of the same lineage. So I just want to kind of see what it's all about, and
I think it's one of the more. I think it's one of the most livable cities in the world. I've heard, like it's pretty. I've heard it's pretty cool.
And I love the cold, like, and I want to actually experience like a cold winter where I can wear one of those like North Face puffer jacket sort of things like Drizzy, and walk around with my mittens, and you know, I just want to.
You got to admit, like winter outfits are cooler than summer outfits, because obviously it's just like t-shirts, not ever in summer. But winter you can wear layers and shit.
Well, I'll tell you there's a little sneaky transition of just like, you know, my assorted hoodie, my grey one. And then guys, what I was wearing in episode 1, where I was pretty much wearing this in my hoodie. But I got it made, and then I was just wearing it. And it was hot summer. People were like, "You're mad." And I was like, nah, it's on brand. But like, I loved it because I love that clothing and I love feeling, it's weird. Like in winter, I'm wearing I don't know, stubbies. And then in summer, I can put on like a hoodie. It's kind of weird, but I love wearing hoodies, and winter clothing just looks nicer. It's more fashionable.
Yeah.
And that's probably another thing, like you touched on, going to these mecca cities and seeing the fashion and getting some like pieces like that. You know, just being able to go to these little stores and that'll be fire.
Yeah, man.
It'd be so cool. So yeah, man, it's crazy.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about these battles that have been happening.
These battles, man,
making a bit of noise, eh? Pretty dope.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it gives some, people something else to focus on during lockdown, which is cool. Yeah.
I think it's just brilliant.
So, what ones have you seen?
I've seen. What have I seen? I've seen the first one that I ever saw was the Manny Fresh
Scott
Storch one. I didn't see the initial kickoff with ShouldBsweet and Timberland.
Yeah.
So I saw the Manny Scott Storch one, and that was interesting. To me.
So who do you think took it?
Storch. I think Storch did, but it was. It's hard because I mean, Manny has a sound. Like Manny Fresh is iconic. Like without Manny Fresh, there wouldn't be a Lil Wayne, and the sound and how distinctive it was. And he was one of the pioneering producers of, No Limit and Master P did what they did. But Manny Fresh really took, New Orleans and the South to another level through Cash Money Millionaires and Hot Boys, Juvie, BG and Turk and Lil Wayne. Like Manny Fresh's production is so unique, but I believe that was a hindrance to him in the battle because a lot of his big tunes are massive, like Top Back and Ben Watt and Go DJ and a lot of those iconic Manny Fresh new age 2000, 2005 tunes. They kind of paled in comparison to Scott Storch, who has a bigger range of artists at a higher level. What did you think?
Yeah, I think Manny is like dope, but he's not like that Scott Storch. I don't mean this in the way his beats sound, because his beats are dope, but like it's not the same caliber it's not the same lane is probably the right word. Scott's been in that kind of, he's been in top tier kind of mainstream hip hop, and then he's also been with pop artists. So we're in a battle scenario. You're just going to take it over the top because instantly your tracks are super recognizable to a lot more people. Whereas, Manny Fresh is big, but his tracks probably appeal more to a certain demographic of hip hop head enthusiast. Whereas Scott Storch has got tracks that'll probably appeal to people who aren't just hip hop heads as well.
And the profile and the tempo of your music's a bit different to some degree, right? Like Manny Fresh came in an era in the South where it was quite digital based. There was rarely using a lot of the digital tools at that particular time, but we know Scott Storch is his ear comes from classical music. So a lot of the piano riffs that he plays on, it's so iconic that they had that higher caliber. I'm trying to, and I think it was I don't know who would. I'll argue I don't know where Scott Storch sits on the list of those super producers, but
my debate though with some of Scott's songs is like he did the keys on them, but he didn't actually produce the whole track. So would some of his songs be as big as they were if Dre didn't say do the drums on the song? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like things like
You
Still
know that the Eve
DRE, and
track, yeah,
yeah,
or yeah,
and
still
that's a timeless
DRE.
record, right? Let Me Blow Your Mind. That's just timeless.
Yeah, so would they have been as big if Dre wasn't a part of them?
Yeah,
We'll
or
never know.
even or one of his biggest songs, like Off the Roots, like You Got Me with Erykah Badu and Eve. Like that's classic tune. But if you take away, I mean, that is such an iconic part of the song. I mean, like, and that's probably, it comes into a lot of other battles that I've seen before as well. So Neo and John Austin, so rarely getting into the R&B songwriting bag. And I feel it really summed up the magic of these battles, because there'll be songs, particularly in the R&B songwriting bag, right? Like a lot of Neo, like Neo and John Austin. Neo more so is in a solo career, so he's known as Neo. But he's penned tunes
Yeah, I
that you
thought he
don't
had.
necessarily know. Right? And that was probably arguably one of my favorite ones.
I haven't seen it, so I need to watch it.
Yeah. But I think that's just the credit and the magic. Like, but with all these battles, they're top tier producers because they've been able to work with the legends. Like, they're all winners. Like that, but it's just you're putting them head to head, and like,
I guess going back to Manny and Scott, Manny actually had a huge hand at creating a superstar, being Lil Wayne. Did Scott Storch have a hand at developing a superstar? Not really. He just produced dope tracks for established artists.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dope that Manny actually had a huge, he created a movement, he created a moment, he created a sound, he created,
Yeah.
Whereas Scott kind of just made dope tracks
Scott,
in the environment he was in.
And I think Scott Storch was really influential in terms of the Miami wave, right? Because that's where, that's when Fat Joe transitioned from New York into Miami and redeveloped the sound with the Make It Rains and the lean back terror squads, and that kind of made a pivotal change in terms of the landscape of rap at that point. So like back to maybe episode 1 when we were talking about 50 and how
did Scott produce
but just
In the Club?
Who's Scott Storch?
Yeah.
Nah, Dre did.
But I wonder if he did anything on it.
Nah, he did. I don't know what he did on In the Club, but he did. When I Get Rich Die Trying, he must have done a few tracks.
Because sometimes these guys ghost produce, man. Like they have a hand, but then they don't.
We don't know, eh?
Yeah.
I think we will touch on it. Actually, I'm just looking at the credits. There isn't any Scott Storch in there. But I mean, oh man, this is a fun fact. In the Club, Dr. Dre, DJ Quick. Huh?
Produced on it.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's...
Man, I caught this Wikipedia. It's giving me a little bit of, I don't know what that means, but... Yeah. But I mean, they're all part of the kind of the same sound. But it's interesting, and it comes to my thing of a lot of these beats and a lot of these producers, like, far out, like, 50's biggest song is In the Club. But it wasn't a traditional sense of getting a New York producer, and he's a New York MC. Far out. But I think the cool thing about these battles is the South producers as well, eh? Like in terms of their influence, like you saw the T-Pain Lil Jon one, eh?
Yeah, that was cool. I thought T-Pain would take it out, but Yeah, apparently, I think Little John, the consensus was he probably took it out. I never really established the link of like how actually close the link was that T-Pain was like pretty directly inspired by Little John and the music he made.
Like the snap your fingers.
Like
There's an argument in there
yeah.
of like Little John snap your fingers, and then he actually gets credit on T-Pain's buy your drink snap or whatever it is. So it's a direct lineage.
And I think John's music is just, it's so high energy, it's so in the club, it's so in your face that it suits the battle environment because it like hits you straight away. Because it's like, even when you hear Get Low or whatever, you know, it's just like, fuck. It's just like a banger. Yeah. Like, so in a battle environment, you know, he had a pretty strong chance, I thought.
But but like the tunes that he had, but I think they both are pioneers, right? Like Lil Jon, and guys, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the hip hop evolution, the latest series, I think it's season 3 or 4, they go into a lot of detail of Lil Jon, and Lil Jon's responsible for crunk in that genre, which is kind of the
kind of paved the way to trap. Yeah,
the trap, and there's a lot of crunk in terms of ringtone rap, but again, without Lil Jon and the crunk movement, and the South really gave that popularity, arguably, in T-Pain, right? Like we were fifth form around that time. T-Pain came out, and the auto-tune thing, it was weird. But without T-Pain, do you get the Carter Free?
And I never liked T-Pain really when I was growing up. It's not until now when I look back and I think he was actually a phenomenal songwriter.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that Tiny Desk session as well that he did, which is amazing, I was like, fuck, he can actually sing really well. You know, he just used auto-tune because stylistically he wanted to have that sound. But what you realize now listening to everyone who uses auto-tune is that, you know, the auto-tune was very mild on T-Pain's vocals because he could actually sing pretty well. So the RZA premiere battle, did you watch that one?
Oh, man. Because it was at 1 p.m., man, when it started.
Yep.
So, like, I had every intention to log on at 1 p.m., but, man, life admin took over, and I needed to make sure that I got out in the garden and got what I needed to get done. Otherwise, it was going to rain. So, did that, and I managed to capture the end of it. But the half that I did see, and they did extend it on a little bit because everyone just wanted it, right? Yeah. So I was stoked. But I managed to watch the whole thing later on in the evening, just so I was fully up to speed. But when I did see it, far out, it was amazing. Like, and just the amount of people, industry leaders, or just everyone, like everyone who is hip hop was in there, and that was just cool to see people commenting like they're just pure fans. Like, that's cool, man. Like, take away the beat battle outside, just a moment of hip hop.
Yeah, what it did for the culture and bringing people together, and then reminding them of the greatness of the past as well was dope.
Yeah. I mean, the Snoop Dogg, he wrote a comment and it's like, this is education. Like, if you're watching this, you don't know hip hop, then by the end of it, you will know. So, just amazing. And that was my main takeout.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the main takeouts of this battle series, is particularly the RZA premiere one, is that when two elite producers who have been in the game since early 90s, 30 years, you know, deep, and the range of people that they've worked with, particularly Primo.
RZA's side is more like, because the Wu was like, you know, 9 members, 10 members, he was able to do so much with his own crew in terms of making an impact on the industry. And that was the amazing thing about Wu, is that you had like these 9 MCs who were all very different, but very good at what they did. And then RZA produced all their first lot of their first albums and bits of their second albums. Their impact was huge. Like, you know, RZA didn't really jump outside the Wu-Tang too much with what he played, but it was fucking phenomenal. But Premier's side of things is he's produced hits for fucking every legend you can name, you know?
Yeah. And he mentioned it, like, he said, this record isn't one that is platinum certified or anything like that, but every time I play it, it rings off, and that was the Royce da 5'9" Boom record. Like, it just ran off.
I thought Premier would have won, truthfully, when I went into it. But I think RZA had a stronger strategy, and I left it feeling like RZA won. But I
think that's so cool.
I don't think Premier played all his hammers, to be honest. I don't know. He didn't do all of them, but
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean,
because RZA is straight up grimy hip hop. Like, he even said at the start, I don't really have shit with hooks, so like I can't really play that with a hook, which is kind of like. But then I think Premier tried to kind of jump into that lane, and he tried to play his grimy street anthems that would match up with RZA's, rather than just coming out with his biggest songs. If you get me?
Yeah.
Like, he did have his big tracks. Don't get me wrong, but.
And jog my memory, because I'm a bit jaded over the last couple of days, and definitely when I did watch it, I was a bit jaded. But did Premier drop Recognize by the Locks?
No,
you didn't know.
No,
like, that's one of my faves. But mine, Primo's just beats are just fire.
Yeah, they
are.
I
think, and I just honestly, like, I'm so happy that we are hip-hop nerds and being able to witness this in this age, because I've been kind of thinking, how
someone said in the comments, it's all the nerds on this watching this and the dudes from the projects. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. And like, I just don't, like, it was pure. Like, everyone's there to watch a show, and it hasn't been done before. Like, it was kind of past when they do beat battles. Like,
I think it's proved what that sort of shit can actually do. You match up the right people. Like, I would love to see that shit live, you know?
Yeah, and that's what Swizz and Timbo did, right? Like, they kicked it off at Hot 97 a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was that, like, it's different in an IG setting versus, and the sound quality is not there, than in a live environment. But even if, like, they get out of this, I mean, Swizz Beatz and Timbo set up a kind of an actual kind of sit-down session where they're sitting across the table and they're blasting tunes back and forth, and it's kind of a live, like, studio recording of this battle. That is gonna ring off. Like, this is gonna change. I think this has just already changed the game in terms of how competitive it is.
When RZA dropped the Dark Twisted Fantasy joint, I thought Premier might have dropped Sandra's Rose by Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When RZA dropped that, I was low-key stoked, because I was like, wow. And that personally, just in terms of my connection to that song, I was just like, far out. Like,
DJs need to listen to the models. You ain't got no fucking Yeezy, it's a ride. I love that shit. Yeah.
I mean, soon after, because he played that song, Premier backed it up with that classic joint with KRS, Rakim, him, and Kanye, and that is such a tune. Like, I love that tune. Like, that's really, and that's kind of where you kind of get Kanye's bag as well, right? Like, I think, who do you want to see next? Like, there's so many, but there's.
What's crazy to me with what RZA did, though, is that, like, he literally played, like, probably half the cuts off one album. Like, because the Wu were album guys, they weren't single guys. but those cuts were just fucking shit up, and that's what was dope. Like how like he could just play like um uh 36 chambers, like most of the tracks off that, and it was like fucking shit up. And then he played a lot of the tracks off Only Built for Cuban Links, fucking shit up. Like it was, that was cool, man. Yeah.
And I found even Gravel Pit, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Gravel Pit, that was the mainstream Woo record, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was my first introduction to Woo back when you watched like top 40 charts. But in a battle, it kind of is a battle record. Like it kind of works in that setting. Like it doesn't work in isolation like that versus a lot of other Woo songs. But in that setting, it rings off because of just just how it's structured.
And that's exactly why I thought RZA wouldn't win. Because if I'm being perfectly honest, RZA's production is grimy. It's not quite polished. It doesn't always sonically sound amazing on a big system because it is grimy and rugged. But that's the aesthetic of it. Whereas Premier's shit is grimy, but the drums always fucking just sound perfect. Like if that shit, I just thought would have been more suited to a battle.
Yeah. And Primo's beats are they have this nuance of polish.
Yeah, they do. It's like grimy but polished, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, and it has, like, RZA's stuff, as you said, is quite grimy.
It's distorted. It's fucking a bit off beat. Like,
and it works well in Instagram Live because it already is distorted the video.
Yeah, maybe.
So like, it kind of follows through. But when you with a producer which has many layers.
Yeah.
And like Primo, like you got these little nuances in his structure of his production that cut through more on a solo listen than through an IG Live. So I think with this series alone, like Timbaland and Swizz Beatz laid the foundation of how to do it, and they did it pretty well. When they get out of quarantine or whatever it is, that's going to be interesting because I reckon this is going to have massive legs going forward. And I really believe that whether it's MCs, if it's best albums or best producers, this is a stepping stone to be able to determine by fan sort of votes or whatever it could be, the actual greatest of all time. By different, like you're not only watching them perform it or playing it, but you're seeing the reaction to it, and then the post-reflection of straight after they did the battle, who won, and then it can actually work out like kind of a battle royale.
The people decide who wins, which is dope.
Yeah, and
like it's not actually scored officially, is it? It's just it leaves it up for debate, and that's cool.
And I think
because some people are going to think Primo won, some people are going to think RZA won, and then the other day some people are going to think Payne won, some people are going to think John won, and that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's hip hop.
Yeah,
but you can't do this with the pop greats.
No, that's the thing about hip hop is the only musical genre, in my opinion, that has a competitive element to it. It's the only form of music that is almost like a sport.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because it's so transparent, and there's only other two like kind of pop artists.
Yeah.
Old school that I would think, and it's clear that they had competition, was Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah.
Like they had this weird relationship with one another where they respected each other, but then there was dislike in terms of each other's sort of attitudes to stuff, all their own stuff. And that would be a mashup. But you couldn't do like, oh man, what, a Katy Perry versus I don't know, whatever it is. Or you could probably do it from a Rihanna Beyonce.
True.
So this opens up so much more.
Like I wouldn't mind seeing Havoc.
There's another battle on there. Was
Havoc and Alchemist. That would be quite cool. I'm trying to think of who I'd pair Alchemist with. I fucking like Alchemist is probably my favorite producer.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't even.
Alchemist just he gets better with time. Like, I mean, he was dope back in the day, like, because he worked with Mobb Deep pretty early. That was, and then Soul
Yeah.
Assassins before that. But the shit that he's done with the new school is phenomenal. Action Bronson, Your Boy
Griselda.
as well, that you listen to at the moment.
Griselda.
Yeah, Griselda. Fucking everyone. I think he's done a bit of work with Mac Miller.
Yeah. It's huge.
Schoolboy. I love when he works with Schoolboy.
Yeah, Alchemist is fire. Like,
Yeah.
Alchemist is up there for me because
you can hear Alchemist comes from DJ Premier, like he's influenced by that, but he's taken it to another level, in my opinion. That might sound bad to some people, but yeah, I love him.
But like Alchemist is the equivalent to DJ Premier in my respect. Like DJ Premier is really the quintessential New York producer, maintaining that sound. But from a West Coast standpoint,
but Alchemist is West Coast, but he sounds
he's
East.
West Coast. He sounds East, but like the West, like it's so interesting. Like the pockets that he does and his soul samples and everything. It's like Alchemist was there before Ye. Like I would argue, while they don't have the same stature, like Kanye's Kanye, right? But from a production standpoint and a soul sample standpoint, like you could actually potentially could put a lot of old Kanye catalog, like late registration prior, up to with Alchemist. But Alchemist has some tunes as well, like some other ones that are kind of become a bit more mainstream. But
Alchemist has got the street anthems, eh?
He does. Like
I think his drums knock harder than Kanye's do as well.
But then Kanye has the samples. Like again, like what's the criteria for a battle?
I love how
a lot of them said.
Alchemist just will sample the most random shit too, just to be creative. Like he'll get like a whole lot of records when he's in Russia, and then he'll make a whole album. Like one of those albums, I think it's all Russian records he used to sample.
Yeah,
he does cool shit like that.
And it's like, and he's given birth in his lineage to the Statics.
Yeah, Static and Alchemist would be a pretty good match. That's a good one.
I reckon that would be dope. Static and Alchemist.
Fuck, I forget about Static. Static's dope, man.
Yeah, you forget about him. But like his, yes, it would have actually, that would be a fair one, to be honest.
Yeah.
And how long's Static been around? Like Static's probably more.
Quite a while, I think.
Yeah.
He kind of peaked a bit later on, though, eh? When he kind of got with Pro Era and stuff like that, he started to make a lot of noise.
But that's the thing. Like, I think if you were to put in the recent times, Static can pull the Pro Era card heavy. Alchemist can pull the Griselda card heavy. So from a generational, even a 5-year span, and I think that's the good arc of a battle. Whereas I think that's where Manny Fresh didn't actually have the legs because they came out in kind of separate areas.
Manny Fresh might have been better against like David Banner or something. I don't know. Yeah.
That's again, and I think more of these verses will come out, and then it will actually we have a better understanding. But I think Static, because Static was, man, I need to get up. I need to actually get up on Static because he's ducked down.
What about Just Blaze and Premier?
Yeah, I think so. But like Just Blaze and SwizBeatz and Timbo are arguably the ones.
You know, Lord Knows, Drake.
In that part.
You know the song Lord Knows by Drake?
Yeah.
That's produced by Just Blaze, and that's fucking fire, man.
And
not to mention the Rockefeller shit.
Oh, yeah. And if you even...
Dynasty intro? Fuck.
And even off this album, bro.
Oh, yeah, he produced, is it The King? Yeah, that's a nice track.
It's like, I'm Talking to You or King Back. I think it's I'm Talking to You. And he said even in the studio, he was just like, because this is when T.I. was dubbed in magazine covers as the next Jay-Z. No, he was the Jay-Z of the South.
Yeah, he is like
But
Jay-Z with a southern drawl. Like,
yeah, and that's why I think that
that King
yeah,
album is dope. Yeah.
that's his classic in my opinion. That and trap music.
Fuck yeah, I
But
got trap music, and trap music is dope, man. Like, I never really listened to that much until I brought it on record, but
yeah,
it's a nice album.
but I think Static, going back to Static, I didn't realize this, but he's ducked down.
Hmm.
So then you got like Digging in the Crates crew, you've got like Buckshot, like you've got a lot of that. Like there's so many kind of those unsung heroes that like are kind of similar like to Premier, which they're not your SwissBeats, they're not your Timbos, they're not your Lil Johns, they're not your Kanye's to some respects, but the ones who have actually formed.
They almost mean more to the culture than those big
Yeah,
artists, because I think those big artists actually get a lot of inspiration from these guys.
totally. And man, I'm just actually gonna. Do you know what would be dope? If this versus thing ends up going, hopefully where I see it, where it becomes massive, it becomes a massive platform. I was thinking about it last night. Like rappers or producers who rap as well, but particularly in the new age, like Big Crit, like he's got tunes with like Bum B and like all that, or even just going on the south, like Juicy J, like or like Dungeon Family sort of stuff, or like
I get fucked up.
Organized Noise.
I get like, it messes me up when I think about Big Crit, because to me he's phenomenal as an artist. The fact that, I don't know, he's just he can play instruments, he can make beats, he can like mix and master, he can write the raps. But yeah, he just doesn't get that respect.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I think that comes to what we touched on in episode 1, right? Which we will get to, guys, if you kind of got to episode 1 and saw. I think we were talking about the tiers of hip hop because it gives us tiers because we love talking about it. But some point we will lock down the sort of sweets tiers again from our perspective. But there's so much nuance to hip hop, and that's what makes it fascinating. Like,
because in my personal opinion, I think we won't get fully into it, but I think that Kendrick, Cole, and Crit, in terms of skill, are all up there.
Do you remember that tune with the three of them off DJ Khaled, like They Ready?
Yeah.
Like that was the position that they were in, right? Like, and I think that's the thing. The South doesn't get there's so many underrated MCs, or underappreciated MCs. Like we talked about it. Like, I don't think Ross, Jeezy, or T.I. And Luda are appreciated as much as they should be, considering their impact.
Freddie Gibbs, I don't think he gets
Gibbs,
he gets a real strong underground respect, and he does well out of that.
Like, Currency, even Wiz Khalifa to a certain extent, right? If you take away, no, you don't take away any of the achievements that Wiz Khalifa does, because he is in the top tier. He is a top tier rapper. But when he gets into his Currency bag, because they're like best friends.
I love that stuff, yeah.
That gets into another bag. And there's so many, like Joey Badass, and like they kind of, there's tiers of hip hop, but then comes to the same as the producers. Like
a lot of people say Wale should be in that conversation as well.
Totally. But then it's the borderline. So I feel that Wale's attitude and J. Cole
disadvantages him,
disadvantages him, and that's kind of where Russ kind of was getting to this bitter MC, or you're out of the album antics, like Game, like is phenomenal. But if he didn't have all the antics, would he be more respected? I don't know. But I think that's the thing with producers. Like producers, like they craft the beat, and I don't know if all these MCs, they just they lay down the rhymes before they hear the beat. But it'd be safe to say that majority of them hear the beat to get the vibe to write the rhyme, right?
Yeah, most do.
Most do. And like, you have to thank these producers because it makes a complete picture. Like, if you play on a cappella stuff on vinyl, and if you got vinyls out there, guys, you know what I mean in terms of the acapellas and instrumentals, but you played instrumentals by themselves, but beautiful. You could listen to a whole, like Apollo Brown. Like, that just gives you that sensibility. Or Alchemist Beats, when he has his beat tapes, and you can just listen to that. It's beautiful. But you listening to a cappella of rhymes, you have to be very nerdy to be able to, and you know, but it takes away from the. I mean, a cappella is really good for mixing, but
well, for me, it's like the beat brings out the words, it brings out the content, it brings out the mood. Without that, you know, there's some beats I'll listen to and I just can't think of anything to say, but then you put on something else and instantly you think of stuff. So the beat is the soundscape, man. It's so important.
It's the soul. It's the soul of it. But I'm just stoked with this versus series. Like, I don't know if you, because what was the first one that you captured, or had you heard about it before? The Scott one,
Yeah, I think I'd heard about it a while ago, about the potential for it happening before lockdown and stuff. I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, when I see it, I'll believe it. Yeah.
It's.
So who are you wanting? Like, what would be your ideal matchup to see next?
I want a repeat of the Kanye Pharrell, because that happened at Hot 97 Summer Jam many years ago, and that was phenomenal.
Have they been asked to do it for this or not?
Yeah.
And they said no.
Undecided. Like, on the Verses, I'm pretty sure it was on the Verses Instagram, they put in, you want to see this? And people pretty much, they test it, right? But they get heaps of requests. And SwissBeats and Timbo, they reach out to artists, because they reached out to Premier and RZA and said, hey, would you be keen? And they're like, if he is, I'm keen. So
Kanye doesn't even have Instagram.
Kim does.
Yeah, true.
Get through the Kardashians, so I've got enough Instagrams to go around, you know?
What would you? He'd go off on some sort of like tangent. I can see spiel mid-battle.
It have to be on a Sunday.
Yeah, true.
But what other battles? Like, what do you usually think of the Kanye Pharrell one?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good matchup. I think they've both had huge impacts on the game. They've been pretty diverse with who they've worked with. They've both got bangers with Jay, which is cool. They've both done a lot of. Kanye's got dope tracks with like Pusha T, Clips. So does Pharrell. They've both got mainstream hits with certain artists like Stow, Rihanna, Rah Rah Rah. And then Pharrell does Gwen Stefani.
But Pharrell has Snoop.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think Kanye has the Snoop.
And Rhythm and Gangster, in my opinion, was kind of Snoop Dogg's savior. It brought him back a little bit.
Well, even the album before that, it was like Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. And that's when he signed.
Yeah, that was good. My bad. Yeah.
Because that's when he signed with Stars Trek. That was after No Limit.
Yeah, so No Limit was kind of like, I don't know, not the greatest album, but yeah.
Oh, No Limit Top Dog was pretty good.
Is it?
That was the one. No Limit Top Dog was good.
Hang on, I had one of them and I didn't like it much.
Oh no, not. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, No Limit Top Dog's not bad. And then The Last Meal, because The Last Meal is the last one off, and No Limit.
Oh, was that on No Limit too?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard Top Dog. I've heard that's all right. The one that's not all right is The Game Is To Be Sold, Not To Be Told.
That's the first No Limit one, eh?
I brought that on CD when I was a kid. Oh, it was
Just when like
whack,
in
in
the
my
era,
opinion.
the era of the Photoshop master, the No Limit
Pen and pixel.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, yeah. So No Limit Top Dog.
Oh,
They had like Bitch Please on it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I've actually heard Top Dog was all right. I've never listened to it though.
I mean, Last Meal, that's the one with what's the track? The Dr. Dre track one when it's Lay Low.
Oh, Laylo's mean.
You know, like see if I can pull up the. But I mean, when I yeah,
yeah.
what's that? This one.
What up, Dougie Dog? Yeah.
and that ain't Pharrell.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, that ushered in because after Last Meal, he signed.
But then when he dropped Beautiful Way, that was
Beautiful was
sensation.
Pay the Cost to Be the Boss.
Yeah, it was. And he's got a remake on there of Paid in Full. It's quite cool actually. And I remember it was in that movie. What was that movie? Snoop Dogg appeared in it. Oh, I've forgotten. But
this is another tune off that album as well.
Shizzle dizzle. It's the Big Nep Tizzle with the Snoopy Deal Double Jizzle.
Whoa! Oh, is that what that song's on?
So that song there.
That sounds like Star Trek. Is that Pharrell?
This Pharrell, but you think about Pharrell, the Neptunes. Come on. And that isn't just, it's like Pharrell is the Neptunes, and the Neptunes have got tunes. Like Neptunes is like, you got Justin Timberlake, you've got Khalees, Milkshake, you got Calypso, you've got some Timberland and Magoo because it's all Virginia Beach. Like, you've got heaps. Like,
you've got Grinding.
Yeah. And they've got heaps in there. They've got some Mace songs. They've got Blackstreet R&B. They've got R&B bags. They've got pop bags. They've got gangster bags. Got funk bags. There's some bags, man. And they've got NERD, Slim Thug.
Oh yeah, I've got that actually. That album on vinyl. That was an underrated album. Like,
what one was that?
Slim Thug is dope, man, but he never really kind of got his just due. Like,
yeah, this is the song that I love with Slim Thug.
Already platinum.
Yeah. So I ain't heard of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but again, this is yeah. Hang on, I'm just gonna play one more song, and this will. Yeah. Oh, this is for another Pharrell gem, but.
Oh yeah.
And he's got J Records, like, but so does Kanye.
Yeah, and that's where I think Kanye could fuck him up, is with like the blueprint. You look at the blueprint, like how much of that album he produced.
Black Album?
It's like 90% of it. Yeah, you got a couple, like 2 or 3 on Black Album.
Arguably the best songs on Black Album.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And his range. Like Kanye's range. There's a lot in there. But then
he's got some dope tracks on Purple Haze as well. Like, just he was in the middle of that soul sampling. Oh man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And Kanye's got a stronger solo career.
Yeah.
But
Bro, but I was looking back on Kanye's discography and when he started producing, and some of these beats weren't like, I didn't find them amazing, but like he's got early cuts on like on like Mace Records.
yeah, there was a Harlem World one. Yeah.
Yeah, Harlem World, and then he's got early cuts on the Mad Rapper had an album. He produced like shitloads of tracks on that. He's worked with some like quite a few different people. Oh man, I forgot. You know, B by Common. He produced most of that, and that album. Oh, like if you're like a backpack loving hip hop fan, that album is fire, and he produced 90% of that. Like,
and I didn't know that he produced this song.
Yep. Yep.
I did not know that, and this was random.
Yep.
Fire. Like these.
I didn't know he produced Stand Up for Ludacris.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that one.
It almost doesn't sound like a beat he would make, but that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like just some dope like out cuts that are not like necessarily mainstream. Like he's got Papa Was a Player by Nas, and people are into Nas. Yeah. That's like one of Nas's greatest songs, man. This Can't Be Life, Jay-Z, like that track with Scarface, Benny Siegel, and Jay is like emotional as fuck. Get By, well. Talib Kweli, Get By.
This song here as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Overnight Celebrity. But I mean, that arguably pushed Twista to the like up there, right?
Yeah.
Because Kamikaze as an album is phenomenal. Though that has tunes on it. Those are
Alicia Keys, You Don't Know My Name. Like,
yeah,
that was huge. I love that song too.
Yeah, man.
Brand New, Rhyme Fest. The Cool, Lupe Fiasco.
The Cool. What did he actually do on The Cool? I get confused. Like, how much of The Cool did he actually do?
No, he just did the song The Cool.
Ah.
You know that one?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is this is the thing, you know how we talked about the battles before?
Yeah.
Are they going to work in a battle though? Because the battle, like, if Kanye doesn't over like Celebrity, and then Pharrell doesn't drop it like it's hot, or you know what I mean? Like, but like Kanye.
Yeah, it just fuck him up, man. Like,
but if Kanye, because he does produce a lot of his own stuff, but then it's the argument of Scott Storch.
Yeah.
Like, how many other people did you produce? Like, got you to help you?
It all comes down to it all comes down to how they would play the records too, eh?
Yeah.
But the Kanye, like, you got to think, we're just talking about the songs he's produced. What you got to add to that is how many albums of his own he's got that are packed with hits. On top of that. Yeah.
Like when the Strongest come out, or the Can't Tell Me Nothing, and the Stronger
All
one
Falls Down, Through the Wire,
Just Jesus Walks,
Touch the Sky, Jesus Walks, Heard Him Say, like, these are just the hits I'm going through.
Like Brother, Good Morning, Diamonds of Sierra Leone.
Yeah,
like that.
Drive Slow. I love Drive Slow.
I'm getting goosebumps, like, just thinking of Diamonds of Sierra Leone, because I don't know about you when it came to Kanye, but I didn't actually know who Kanye was. I heard his music, but I heard of Kanye through Game's Dreams. And I thought that Kanye was this old guy, because it had in the clip, a Dreams video clip, was this old guy. Yeah. And then the next moment I saw was Diamonds of Sierra Leone. And I thought it was because it was the first time I really heard of those samples. Like, yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was a Aretha Franklin sample or not, or it might have been something else for Diamonds of Sierra Leone, but it's...
You got the remix, and then you got the normal version.
Both fire.
Yeah.
But then, and that's some...
There's multiple videos for it too.
Yeah, and the Kanye samples, like, that's his bag. Whereas
And
Pharrell,
Kanye completely reinvented himself for every album, in my opinion.
Like,
until it got to Pablo, and Pablo was like, to me, was like a combination of everything he's ever done in one album. And
yeah,
I actually like that album is very messy. Like it's messy, but I fucking love, like I love that album.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like
it is. There's
like
so many layers.
I like that album, man. There's a couple cuts I don't like so much, but I do like it.
It's kind of his it's his album where he's pretty much got these new artists on board who are kind of influenced heavily by him in a way, right? Like he's got to that point where he's pulled on all these new artists who some way or another are influenced by Kanye's style of reinventing himself. Like there's the Young Thugs in there, and then there's the Weekends, and then Kid Cudi's laced in there, and then it's just it's messy, but somehow it works.
Yeah.
But
I think it's messy because it sounds like all his older albums, but yeah, like there's little bits of it everywhere.
And I think that's what Ebro said, because he always reference these interviews. Hello, Phoebes. What's up, my hitter? What's going on? Anyhow, I feel like Nelson in Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Come here. So, in terms of...
I think this is like, I'm not trying to go off in this direction, but just as a side note, I think that Kendrick really took a note from Kanye in terms of the reinventing himself thing, because Kendrick with every album has reinvented himself.
Yeah, totally.
With this type of beats and flows and what he uses. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would argue Jay does that. Like for his longevity to be able to do that.
I think with the production, but not necessarily with his style of rapping.
Get what you mean. But Kanye...
But it's one thing to reinvent yourself and one thing to do it well. You think Lil Wayne, he tried with Rebirth, but
I bring it to I think in terms of just, if you look at Carter 1, Carter 2, Carter 3, and it's pretty hard for any of the elite MCs to have 3 solid albums. Like
some would say 4, but not me. But
I would say, what do you mean? Lil Wayne has 4.
Yeah, some like Carter 4 quite a lot, I believe.
I kind of go on trilogies, right? Like I think Kanye demonstrated that with Graduation, Late Registration, and Graduation, or College Dropout. You get what I mean.
What's your favorite Kanye album though?
Late Registration.
Is it?
Yeah. Like there's one track off there that I love, man, and it's got Cam on it. It's
We Major.
Oh, We Majors. That's Kanye West gone with Cameron and Consequence.
Oh yeah, sorry, We Major. That's my ringtone.
The ringtone.
It's my ringtone. We Major. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
What up, homie? We Major.
But I like Registration. Like I love College Dropout. Like, and I like Graduation for different reasons. Like,
hey, Late Registration is a good album. Yep.
Yeah, and Late Registration is kind of my doctor's advocate.
Oh yeah.
Because it came out in the time where I was really like invested into Kanye. Like I actually understood it more because it came out around that time.
Yeah, mine's Dark Twisted Fantasy, man, for me. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. We're talking about someone who's had arguably the best discography in hip hop history.
It's that album is as close to
Perfect.
perfection as an artist can get, eh? Yeah.
But it's timeless. Like, it's 10 years old this year.
And lyrically I think he just managed to bring all the right heads into the room and like set the mission. We're going to craft the masterpiece. And they did it. Just like, even when you read stories about how they made that album, there were certain rules in the studio. You know, you couldn't wear this hat, and everyone had to wear, I think, tuxedos, and you know, there were all these, and like what would Mobb Deep have done, and there were questions like that on the wall, and he was just like in that mind frame that I need to make this my greatest album ever. Like,
and I think that's to your point about Kendrick and how he probably pulled from the Kanye tree.
Because Kendrick works like that by the sounds.
Yeah, I remember
he's
hearing
working,
a story.
He locks in, like.
And I've seen I can't remember, it's a video clip or something, or maybe it's Schoolboy Q telling someone about how Kendrick pretty much, it was Dr. Dre wrote, the album needs to do this, and this. You can't answer this, and this, then you need to stay here. So that was what Good Kid was made of. I actually think that was what Pimp Butterfly was. Like, and some argue Pimp Butterfly has it aged, but as a point in time, as a complete body of work, and if you look at it as that,
you got to wonder what sort of pressure that Kendrick put himself under to Pimp a Butterfly, because the success of Good Kid, Mad City, and the whole sophomore jinx thing, you know, he must have been like, I really need to deliver.
Yeah, I don't.
And he went left with the album, eh? Like, it wasn't what we're expecting.
Yeah, it's but to your point, we don't know what Kendrick's gonna come out with. We don't know what Kanye's gonna come out with.
See, The Pimp a Butterfly to me is like the album that it's like, I respect it and I put it right up there, but it's like almost right up there that I'll never touch it and I'll never listen to it. It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same. Like, Good Kid, Mad City is like, for a lack of a better word, it's fun to listen to.
Well, I think, and I did the parallels to Nas with Kendrick.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was so embedded within Good Kid, but I was kind of in Kendrick, what we knew of him was in that Nas tree. And it was so vivid that I put it next to Illmatic. And I mean, a lot of people did. But it was kind of a new age Illmatic in a way, in my perspective.
Yep.
But then, yeah, it's, I don't know, there's so many nuances. But Kanye's discography, you can't beat it. Like, I don't think there's anyone. You could actually argue that he's had flawless albums up to maybe Pablo. Like, they've had something. Yeezus was a bit polarizing, but it was pretty cult. Like, in terms of the change of type.
I enjoyed it. I listened to it a lot, actually. I did listen to it a lot.
And I think it birthed, for right or wrong, it kind of birthed this mentality of, you go with your gut, you record it, and you put it out. Like what all the Futures and the Young Thugs and Travis Scott to a degree, but pulling on this kind of dark, edgy, rebellion industry kind of sound. Or
Travis Scott had a big influence on Yeezus, didn't he?
Yeah, hard. Because he had a big influence on Yeezus. Because his mixtape album, El Faro, that was when he was making some noise.
I think Sci-Hi wrote quite a bit of it too. Sci-Hi the Prince.
And this is where I put some holes in Kanye's Teflon.
Mm.
Kanye is kind of it's hard to say, but I kind of his similarities to Puff. To me, because it isn't just Kanye. Of course, it's Kanye's vision, and without Kanye pulling the right people together, whether it's Consequence, Rhyme Fest,
yeah,
and then it goes into the Cuddy, Lupe, Cuddy, Sci-Hi, Travis. Like you can see you can see who he has next to him at every step of the way.
Going back to that, Lupe is Kendrick before we had Kendrick, but Lupe never got the same respect or reached the same level as Kendrick has.
Yeah. But without Lupe, there wouldn't be a Kendrick, because Lupe, it's like with all the forefathers, like they knock down the doors for people to do what they want.
Like I was reading the lyrics the other day to The Cool One Genius after I pulled that song up because I remembered it. And just the creativity of his storytelling, he told a story about a hustler who was buried and then he came back to life, and he just like the detail of what he told in that story, because Kendrick's a storyteller, and Lupe was a real storyteller too,
But like Lupe is just from that.
And he was a lyricist. He wasn't the hood guy, but he knew the story and he told the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Lupe is, and there has been a lot of, people can look it up. Like there's been a little bit of contention between Lupe and Kendrick. Because
you gotta wonder if there's some bitterness there, eh?
There is from Lupe.
Yeah.
And it's clear. It's like there's things like he released All American Rap Story or whatever it is. It was an all black album. Kendrick released Untitled Unmastered, so a blank album cover. Lupe was always big on ninja styles and being a ninja. Lupe. Then Damn came out, and then Kung Fu Kenny came.
Yeah.
Then Black Panther came, and it was a very similar style. Well, actually, Tiesto and Youth, which arguably is one of the best Lupe Fiasco albums in my opinion, from a musicality standpoint, that got released in the last decade, about 05 or 04. No, 2015, I mean.
Yeah.
That's an album that actually plays front to back. Damn came out and it's front to back. Front to back.
Yeah.
So, and Lupe just, like, there's a tweet that went around, and it was when Black Panther came out. And the album style was very much similar to Lupe's kind of Drogas, whatever he was on this wave on. Very similar style, and he was like, "Hey, no, I've had enough of this." Like, and like people have pressed him, like, do you think that Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper? And he's like, "No, because MF Doom's the best to me, or King Los is the best to me, or because he's from that battle lyricist. However, he still has value in song structure and melody. Like Lupe has that. Like superstars and kick pushes and like."
Interesting.
That's
do you know,
it. Yeah.
Do you know who executive produced Food and Liquor?
Is that I don't know.
It was Jay-Z, yeah. Was he Rockefeller? Maybe, I'm not sure.
Have a little bit of a.
He might have been Def Jam, eh?
I think Lupe's one of them ones though, man. Like a 2-album stretch. I can't remember who said it, and maybe I was. No, I wouldn't say that I said it because I think I've listened to someone say it. It's like, how many exceptional albums does an MC or a rapper have to consider them being the shit? Like, and that's probably something it's another lens. for the tiers of hip hop, the sort of sweet style. But
should we wrap it up soon? And
yeah, man, we should wrap it up. We should.
I just smell some banana loaf has just been cooked.
Yeah, man. You know, honestly, this has been a and guys,
yeah,
just a little bit of context out there. Hamish had a little bit of technical difficulties. He isn't as polished as Should Be Sweet. As with his setup, he's got mics, he's got Apple Macs. Hamish has borrowed his beautiful queen Melissa Matthews ring light. He's just recording this on his phone, which is on his last legs. He dropped it, but it's hopefully, if you see this, it's a good good indication of things to come when we get out of lockdown, because we'll have a little bit more connectivity, and hopefully we'll be able to lock it down on the physical. But again, it's just yeah, man, two bros who respect hip hop to the highest degree, who can talk for hours about it. And I need to go and have some kai. Ryan smells banana loaf. He needs that as well.
Got an intruder in the corner there too.
But yeah, guys.
Good times. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and this has been Assorted Sweets. I go by the name of Assorted Hamish.
Should be sweet.
And we're looking forward to seeing you in episode 3, volume 3. Again, give us heaps of feedback, guys. That's what we need. That's what we live by. And I just saw Danny in the corner behind you. Yeah, kind of did a little bit of a Melissa Matthews Cameron moment. So, you know, if you stay tuned, you might be able to see some queens, as well as two kings talking on a pod. So, shot, guys.
Peace out.